Hello, 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 everyone. Excited to see you this evening back in the office. As you can see, last week was in Jacksonville by the beach. And so I'm excited to talk about this topic today. Before we get started, just hop in the chat and tell me where you're tuning in from, what city, what state, and let's say hello to each other as we're waiting for everyone to jump on. And hopefully everyone can hear me okay. It looks like the green light is on and you can. Someone wants to just type in there and let me know that you can hear me. But today I want to go over one of the most important things about transitioning from employee to entrepreneur, which is thanks, Mark. Thanks, Juan. Appreciate it. So it's getting clear about leaving your job and going full-time as a business owner. Hello from Springfield, Virginia, not too far from where I grew up, which was the Woodbridge, Manassas area. Actually, I used to train at Hayfield High School when I wrestled for a long period of time. So welcome, welcome, welcome. But I want to talk about getting clear, because at the end of the day, clarity is the most important thing. And let's start out with this. I want you to imagine for a second that you and I are driving in the car. We're driving in the car. I'm driving. You're sitting in the passenger seat. And we come to an intersection, right? To really visualize this, we come to an intersection. There's a stop sign. And either we can go left or right. And I turn to you and I go, hey, which direction do we need to go? We going left or we going right? And you go, well, I don't know. Where are we going? And I go, I have no idea. We're going anywhere. Then what's the answer? You can take any direction and it'll get you anywhere. It's kind of like I forget that movie. I'm gonna wind up remembering it with the Tin Man. But there was a quote that was similar to that. Here's why this is important. I have so many people that reach out to me and they go, hey, is this business good? Or should I do a senior home healthcare franchise? Wizard of Oz. Thank you, Mark. Yep, Wizard of Oz. That's exactly it. I think it was when Dorothy came to the fork in the road and was trying to figure out which direction to go. It's basically the same story and the same analogy. And someone asked, well, where are you trying to go? And she said, anywhere really. So, and he said, well, I guess it doesn't matter which way you go. This is so important in business. It's so important in business, and it's so important as you're making a transition, whether you own a business currently and you're looking to transition to a new business. Most people, they're worried about the tactic, right? Which business do I get into? What's the most profitable business? At the end of the day, guys, there are over 3,800 franchisors out there. Over 3,800 franchisors. There's so many different industries in business. And so what we're going to talk about today is getting clear first. There are a few steps to this, and I'm going to talk you through those steps. And I want to talk you through this acronym of SAM. We're going to get to SAM in just a moment. But have you ever sat down and literally designed exactly what you want your life to look like in specific detail in every area of your life? I have some notes here on the other screen that I'm going to be looking at. But, for a second, I want you to imagine, like really kind of close your eyes, visualize and imagine that it's 3 years from today. It's June 2024. You are now living your dream life. Like you have left your job. You are full-time in a thriving business. You absolutely love what you do. You're incredibly impassioned about your work. You feel relieved. Like when you sit there and take in the moment, with it being 3 years from now, like in your stomach, you feel the sense of excitement and gratitude and appreciation, because you go, wow, this is what I dreamed about for so long. Well, what does that life look like for you? Specifically, what does your family life look like? I always start here with people because it's so important to start with, Like we all want to own a business because we want to have more flexibility. We want to have more freedom. We want to have more control over our financial future. Here's the worst case situation is when someone buys into a business or a franchise or gets in the world of entrepreneurship and it's not what they think it was, or they wind up actually being more miserable than before because they're working longer hours and they're making less money because they didn't define their destination. So instead of turning right at the stop sign, they actually turned left because they weren't clear about specifically pinpointed what their destination was. So imagine, what does your family life look like? Like, what sort of vacations are you taking? How much time are you taking off? Are you working on the weekends? Are you not working on the weekends? Where are you going with your kids? Do you get to take them to school? Do you get to spend extra time with them? I recently sent out an email about, imagine if you could go to the park with your kids at 2:00 in the afternoon and still know that you were running a successful business, still know that you're running a thriving business. You know, that's been one of the beauties about, you know, owning a franchise and owning a business and having an office close to the house, is being able to have that freedom and flexibility. So besides for your family, so get clear on what your family life looks like first, if you guys have families, because that's so important. At the end of the day, you could be making a lot of money in your business, but if you're sacrificing your time with your family and you're working all the time and you're a slave to your business and all you did was bought a job, is it really worth it? Is it really worth it? You know, this is one of the reasons why I recently made the full-time transition, even though I was an executive at a financial services company doing very well. I enjoyed the work that I was doing, but ultimately for me, what did it was that when I looked at my vision that was written down for my family life, the life that I was living working for someone else did not match up. I was leaving the house at 7:30 in the morning, not coming back till 6:37 at night, and trying to scramble and fit things in on the weekend. I talked about this recently in a video. And so ultimately, you don't want to run into the same situation with a business. Next thing to talk about, once you think about your family, I want you to think about your overall lifestyle. What does it feel like? Like literally describe the emotions that you experience on a day-to-day basis. Now I'm going deep with you guys here. Make sure you stick around and hang with me here, because this is some of the most important side of choosing a business and creating the foundation to being a thriving entrepreneur and making the leap that a lot of people don't talk about online. Everyone wants to talk about the strategy. The strategy is great. The strategy is important. I am all about strategy. I coach my clients on strategy. Very, very, very important. But vision comes before strategy. Vision always comes before strategy, because your strategy will be dictated by your vision. Your strategy will be dictated by your vision. The more clear you are on your vision, the more clear you will be on your strategy, the easier it will be to pull the trigger on the strategy. Because once you're clear on this vision, then you're able to align different business opportunities and choices that come up, these forks in the road that come up in your business. This seems like a really great opportunity. This business, this franchise, I really like it. Oh, but they primarily do most of their business on the weekends. And I have 3 kids. And in my vision, it talks about me being able to spend my weekends with my kids, or us being able to travel once a month. And then all of a sudden, now you're in a business where you're making a lot of money. That part is great, but it's not aligning with your family values. So family is super important. Then I want you to think about, again, I was alluding to this before, like what emotions are you experiencing on a day-to-day basis? Here's the thing. Oftentimes we're in a pattern and loop of experiencing the same emotions. So if you get frustrated a lot, then that's what you tend to go to. If you get confused a lot, that's what you tend to go to. If you get angry, that's what you tend to go to. So I want you to really think about and imagine, wow, okay, 3 years from today, I'm running my successful business. I'm absolutely loving what I'm doing with my life. What emotions am I actually experiencing? Like, gratitude. I feel excited. I feel appreciative. I feel grateful. I feel focused. What do the days in your business look like? Like, what do they look like on a day-to-day basis? Who are you interacting with? What are your interactions with your customers like? What do they sound like? What sort of conversations are you having with your customers? What sort of conversations are you having with your employees? What type of employees do you want to be working with, right? Do you want to be working with more skilled employees who may be a little bit more needy and they may be a little bit more challenging to manage because they're experienced, they're smart people, they have more advanced degrees, they have special certifications, right? Or do you want to be working with high school kids and younger kids? Maybe that's something that you will actually enjoy because you really enjoy the aspect of being able to mentor young people. These are all things that you have to know before you make a decision, or else you're looking at all these different business opportunities in front of you, not again clear, and then you get confused because you don't have an anchor. You don't have a clear direction of what it is that you want. Then let's talk about how much money do you want to be making a year? It seems like the obvious one, right? How much money do you want to be making a year? How much money do you want to have saved? How much money do you want to be saving and investing on a day-to-day basis, or on a monthly basis? What sort of assets do you want to have accumulated? Do you want a business where you can scale it, where you can grow it to multiple locations, multiple units, multiple territories, expand it? Do you want to be able to work completely remote? Do you not want a physical business at all? Do you not want an office or retail space? You just want to be completely on the internet. These are all things that are so important to think about. These are all things that I work with my clients on when we're setting the foundation first on what their vision is before we really set the plan and the strategy on making the leap and the transition. So if you guys have any questions so far, go ahead and drop them in the chat. Any vision, franchise related questions, business related questions, make sure to drop them in. So once you have the vision, now is when you can create the strategy. So as an example, about 9 or 10 months or so ago, I went through a process and spent weeks creating a vision. I went through every single category of my life, every area of my life: financial, health, emotional, intellectual, lifestyle, fun, family, and created a vision in detail. Went through in every single category, what was it that I wanted to create in my life? And then once I had that vision, I had to make some tough decisions. One was leaving a job that I was on the executive team, basically the second-hand man in the company, really enjoying it in financial services, overall, the work that I did, but it didn't align with my vision. And so what becomes the strategy at that point? What's the strategy that you're going to take? Now, this is a little bit more complex. I mean, I can spend a month or two working on strategy with clients sometimes. Sometimes we can nail it right away. It all just depends. And sometimes it takes a couple of calls in order to really nail down the strategy. But what's going to be your strategy to get free? That depends on where you are now. So it depends on, number one, what are your skill sets? What are you really good at? Have you sat down and really made a list of the things that come naturally to you? Are you really good with people? Are you more relationship oriented, right? Do you love people? Like, you see someone, you want to ask them questions about their life, you want to build a relationship, you want to make a connection? Or are you more task oriented? When you meet someone new, it's like, great, nice to meet you. This is a job that we have to get done. Let's get started, right? See, my wife and I are very different. And lately I've been working with a lot more couples through this process as I'm helping to coach them to go from employee to entrepreneur and really make that transition, choose a franchise, choose a business. And by the way, if you want to work together, then you can go to tarekjohnson.com/consulting and apply there. But it's really important to think about this strategy part. So once you've done an audit of your skill sets, what are you good at? So what I was alluding to is that Bridget, my wife, is very people oriented, very relationship oriented. I tend to be more task oriented. So I'm really great at operational sides of the business, planning, strategy, executing, managing employees, figuring out how to make things more efficient. I love that stuff. I can do that all day long. Now, when it comes to going out, if we needed to go out to a community event or a networking event and network and build relationships, I can do that. I've trained myself to do that because of my background being a financial advisor for so many years, but it's not what comes naturally for me. It's not what I enjoy. If I was doing that on a day-to-day basis, I'd be miserable. And so for you, when you're thinking about like, what am I good at? Like, I love sitting in a room by myself and just working on planning. Is that you? Or do you like going out there networking with people, right? What do you dislike? So once you've identified what your skill sets are, what do you dislike? And what do you definitely not want to be doing in your business? So you want to audit that first, right? Then you want to take a look at what your financial situation is. Where are you financially? Because where you are financially is going to determine what your strategy is in making the leap, right? Maybe you're making $90,000 a year at your job right now, but after talking to your spouse, you guys are making a combined household income of $160,000 a year, but your expenses are only $75,000 a year. So you're able to plan out a strategy on what it would take financially in order to make the transition. How much money do you have in emergency funds, retirement funds? You got to do an audit of your finances, because that audit of your finances is going to determine what your strategy is. Maybe to get free, you're selecting a business and choosing a strategy and a path that is not the ultimate vision, but you're doing it to get free first. You know, that's one of the things that I talk to my clients about, which is, look, if you're really frustrated at your work, if you're really frustrated in the current situation that you're in, and like you're like, I got to make a change now, like I had to make a change yesterday, then what you want to do is focus on the lowest hanging fruit. What can you do right now that will help generate income for you? This is one of the things that I did in my business. I knew that, okay, as a strategy, I knew that I wanted to create content and videos online. And I thought, well, what are my skill sets? Well, my primary skill set is financial investment and retirement planning. That's what I could talk about ad nauseum for hours and hours and go deep into the weeds and very technical. But I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to talk about investments and portfolios and financial planning for the rest of my life. It just wasn't what I wanted to do. Then I thought about, I own franchises. I really love our franchise businesses. I've always been obsessed with business. I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I love talking about business with people. I love helping people. I still do enjoy the financial side of it and the planning side and the strategy. And so I decided the easiest thing to do was to create a business online, to start getting traction with helping people and getting viewership, and then launching a coaching business. And so right now I have a client, as an example, a guy that I work with, James. And James isn't yet in the financial position to pull the trigger on a franchise, but James has a very good skill set. He's very respected within his community. I had him survey his friends and family. Literally, he created a survey, emailed it out to a list of his friends and family, and asked them a series of questions of what they thought his skill sets were, what he could monetize, what he could be good at. We took that information, we took that survey, we identified what his skill sets are, and we figured out for James that was going to make the most sense was helping people that have been frustrated in their career, that aren't making the amount of money that they want, find purpose within their career. So they still wanted to stay in the job world, but they just wanted to find more purpose, more meaning, more connection to the work that they were doing, and increase their financial success as well. So that's the path that he wound up choosing. So the strategy that you choose all depends upon you. I have another client that I work with. that are in California. They're a husband and a wife. And part of their plan, their strategy that we've nailed down is that the wife is going to get free first. She's going to be the first one to leave her job and go into a franchise business. But that business hopefully has enough scalability so that eventually the husband can also do it and they can run it together. And so again, this is part of the strategy. Strategy is important. I remember when I used to travel speaking for Tony Robbins, he used to say, doesn't matter how pumped up, motivated, fired up you are, if you're running east looking for a sunset, you're not going to find it. Doesn't matter how fast you run. And so I always loved that analogy when he would say that, right? Because for those of you who might be confused right now, the sun sets in the west. And so you could be taking the right action, right? This is what I was alluding to with people feeling stuck and confused and overwhelmed, is you can be taking so much action, like you're working, you're busy, you're looking at businesses and you're hustling and you're grinding and you're working really, really hard, but you have the wrong strategy, and you have the wrong strategy because you don't have the right vision. Look, this is what I say to my clients and the people that I work with that are trying to make a transition. Having a strategy is important, but having the right strategy is everything. It's everything. And I actually have on my wall over there, what is the best strategy that I can use right now? Having the right strategy can make your life so much easier. So you've got to figure out what your strategy is based on what your financial situation is, what your skill sets are, what it is you like, what it is you dislike, and based on your low-hanging fruit, right? Malia said, I know how to network, but it's not something that I like to do. Like you said, I have trained myself to market and network, and people have even told me I'm good at it. Would this be a weakness? Well, I can't answer that question for you. I don't know that it would be a weakness. I would just look at it as it's just something that's not something that you enjoy. And so you can do it if you need. And the reality is, as a business owner, you often wear many hats. And sometimes you need to do things that you may not like to do. But here's what can be a part of your strategy, Malia, is that whatever business you choose, whatever path you go for, you can find someone on your team and recruit someone that does what you don't like to do. As an example, I've been expanding my team as I've been growing, my consulting business and my online branded business. And so now I have a team. I have someone who is a virtual assistant who is absolutely amazing. And she does all of the infrastructure stuff for me. So I don't know if you guys noticed, but my emails start to look a little bit different and look a little bit nicer. She revised things on my website. My coaching application is all different. There's different automations. So what I do is I paint her a vision and a picture. Hey, this is what I'd love to see happen. And then she takes the ball and she figures it out, does the research, and then executes on it. So Malia, just because you don't like networking, you may be great at the strategy and the vision. And if you own your own business, you know that, hey, I know that in order for us to be successful and get clients, we've got to be at every networking event all the time, constantly out there building relationships. Well, guess what? You can be the one strategizing and delegating that, and you hire someone who's all about relationships. Like they get their cup filled up being around people. Like that's my wife as an example. So when we had opened our franchise business, we had come to an agreement pretty quickly. I'll run the store. I'll hire all the staff. I'll fire the staff. I'll do the write-ups. I'll make sure that the business is running. All that I ask is that when we do events, when we need to promote things, when we need to do things out in the community, you come and do that because I don't want to do that part. And so that was the deal we made with each other. So again, that's the strategy part. Now, once you have your vision, once you have your strategy, then here's a question that you need to ask yourself. Is this achievable, or am I asking too much? Is this achievable, or am I asking too much of myself? And if so, how do you know? right? How do you know that it's achievable? So as an example, one of the ways that I answered that question was I looked at my vision and I go, yeah, this is achievable. Am I asking too much? No. How do I know? Well, because I managed the whole process of us opening up our franchise from scratch, masterminded pretty much the whole process, got it profitable in less than 60 days, represented and negotiated in us selling, buying businesses, running divisions in companies. Like I leveraged the things that I accomplish and some of my skill sets already. Like I have some young people that reach out to me, and I love helping and coaching and mentoring young people. I was on the phone. I had a Zoom today with a young guy. He was 19 years old from Jamaica, struggling to figure out what it is that he wants to do. Said that he wants to buy a franchise, doesn't have any money, and when I think about that, there's a certain skill set that you have to have. I think about when I first had this vision of opening up a franchise 13 years ago. Well, at that point, in the short term, I didn't have the business knowledge that I had. I didn't have experience hiring and firing people and some of the technical business skill set. But anyways, think about that when you're thinking about your strategy and your vision. Is it achievable? Am I asking too much? And how do I know? Now, the next question you want to ask yourself is, am I asking enough of myself? Am I asking enough of myself? And then how do I know? Sometimes we overthink things and we don't realize how good we actually are, how capable we actually are, what our potential actually is, and what we can create. Some of you have $100,000 dreams when maybe you should have $1 million dreams. Maybe some of you have $200,000 dreams where you should have $2.4 million dreams. And it's not just about the money in terms of the vision, but maybe your vision is that you want to be able to take a vacation once a year, but what's possible for you is taking a vacation once a quarter. Through this vision process, my wife and I created a bunch of goals and lifestyle goals and targets for this year. And one of the things that we set is every quarter that we were going to go work remote for a week out of every quarter in some sort of vacation destination so that we can enjoy the journey and the process in our life as we're continuing to focus and grind and build our empires, right? And so it would have been really easy to say, no, we have these big goals and dreams. We have to be working all the time. And then maybe we're asking too little of ourselves, right? Then here is the most important question to ask yourself. Here is the most important question to ask yourself. When you look at your vision, you think about the strategy. Am I willing to pay the price? Am I willing to pay the price? Just because you're clear in your vision, just because you're clear in your strategy, doesn't mean it's going to be all sunshine and rainbows. I'll be the first person to tell you, running a business is challenging. It's hard. There are obstacles. It can be stressful. Are you willing to pay the price? The likelihood is in the beginning, to gain momentum, you often have to put in extra energy and effort. Think about a rocket ship taking off and how it uses a majority of its fuel just taking off. Once it gets up and breaks out of the atmosphere, it's able to cruise, right? So as you're making this journey from employee to entrepreneur, after you get your vision, you get your strategy, and you're asking yourself these questions, are you willing to pay the price of what it takes in order to make the leap? It may mean for a short period of time, you're actually going a little bit farther away from your vision so that eventually you can live the life that you want. So for me, when we opened up our franchise, there were times on the weekends where I wasn't playing golf all weekend anymore. I was in our business. I was in our franchise. And I was working and doing events and planning and strategizing. As I was making my transition, after we owned our franchises and still working in the corporate world, as I was looking to transition, I was often up at 4:30 a.m. to start getting work done and would stay up until midnight, editing videos, doing work, crafting emails. Sometimes when I was taking my lunch break, I was in the car doing having intake calls with people that wanted to coach with me, right? These weren't things that I really like. They were not easy. It was hard. Sometimes I'm sitting at the computer, falling asleep, working on stuff, just so tired because I was up so early. And then I left for the office at 7:30. But within 6 months, focused energy of me willing to pay the price for 6 months, I was able to make that transition and start achieving some great results. So are you willing to pay the price? The price is temporary. It's temporary, guys. You can pay the price for a year, really create an amazing lifestyle for yourself. You know, Tony Robbins also said this, is that a lot of people overestimate what they can do in 5 years. I'm sorry, they overestimate what they can do in 1 year. They underestimate what they can do in 5. And so I want you to really think about that. Sometimes the people want this overnight success. Are you willing to pay the price? Now, after you ask yourself that question of, are you willing to pay the price? And by the way, if you're enjoying this video, hit the like button. It helps with the YouTube algorithm. And as this video then gets replayed to other people, very much appreciate it. If some of you guys haven't gone to my website yet and downloaded my 7-step blueprint to business profits in 60 days, I take you step by step how you can build a profitable business within 60 days and take you through a very strategic framework. You can use that for free. It's, I think, 23 or 28 pages long, very tactical information. And if you want help and one-on-one guidance, like Fola, you said, I want to invest $50,000 and need advice on a franchise to look for, definitely go and apply for my coaching. So that I can help you through that process. TarekJohnson.com/consulting. And I want to address this for a second because, you know, I get a lot of people that ask me questions. Hi, Bridget. I get a lot of people that ask me questions, and you know, I was just thinking about this, about the quality of the questions that we ask. And so, Fola, I this is not picking on you at all, but. And you say, you need advice. You have $50,000 to invest. What franchise can I look for? I have no idea. That's without knowing you or your situation. It's really hard to answer that question. That's like imagine if you called the doctor and you were like, hey, I'm sick. What kind of medicine do I need? They're like, I don't know. Like, come in and let's talk about what your symptoms are, what you're experiencing, right? And so that's really what the process is. So, Fola, make sure to go download my 7-step blueprint to business profits in 60 days. It will help you a lot. Also, on my website, and I'll drop the link real quick. I have a blog page which has some free resources on that page. And one of them is the 9 steps to buying a franchise. And so you can go through and you can use that as your framework to be able to figure out what option works best for you. But like I said, this is exactly this is exactly why I do this YouTube live and mention these things, is because everyone wants kind of a quick answer and a quick solution. Hey, I got this amount of money. What should I invest in? It would happen all the time when I was a financial advisor. And I do it too. We all do it. Again, it's not a criticism, but you want to start asking the right questions, right? And so clients would come to me and they go, I've got $300,000 saved up. What should I invest in? And I'd go, I don't know. I don't know what you should invest in because I don't have enough information about you, your risk tolerance, your time horizon, your time frame, on all of those things in order to provide a recommendation to you. So let me learn more about your situation, what you're looking to accomplish, and then I'm happy to offer some recommendations to you at that point. So I left off at, am I willing to pay the price? Malia asked a question, which is, my fear is that I have confidence and motivation, but if I open a franchise and I fail, how can I ensure that I don't fail? You can't. That's the first answer. There's no guarantee, right? What you can do, business is all about minimizing risk. So really the question that you're really asking is, what can I do to put myself in the best position to succeed? Again, the questions that we ask ourselves are very powerful, because if you ask yourself, how can I ensure I don't fail? Well, then that may lead you to answers that make you not fail, but you have a business that's just breaking even, or it's just making a little bit of money, or it's making a little bit of profits. So technically you didn't fail, but you are not happy in your business. You're not making the money that you want to make. So instead, Malia, ask yourself the question, how can I ensure that I succeed in my business? Aha. Then when you ask that question, your brain starts to come up with different answers to the question. So remember, the quality of your question is going to be the quality of the answer that you get. And so that's great if you have the confidence and the motivation. One of the ways in which you can ensure that you succeed is by going through this process that I'm taking you through now, or by hiring a coach, or by doing the proper research and due diligence and going through a proven framework and process that works, right? When you start with creating a successful foundation, then it's really just repeating a process that works. As an example, it's like if someone's like, hey, I want to build a house, right? Well, there have been a lot of houses built. Have there been people that tried to build houses and do projects and they probably messed a bunch of things up? Yes. They probably didn't follow the framework, the strategy, and the process that was needed in order to do it successfully. Maybe they skipped a part of the permitting process. Maybe they didn't get permitting at all. Maybe they tried to go with cheaper material and then something happened and that material broke or didn't provide the proper structure, right? So Malia, as you get clear about what your life is, as you determine what your strategy and your skill sets are, and you go through the process, especially that process, the 9 steps that's on my blog page, every step you do, every check mark that you check off as a part of the process, you're lowering your risk more and more and more and more and more. As you do research and talk to other franchisees and find out what their challenges were, what their successes were, what worked for them, what didn't work for them, if they would do it again, do they regret their decision? You ask questions to the franchisor. You made sure that you're aligning with a business that's right on point with your skill set. Like, you know that the activities and the actions that you're taking in your business are things that like you could do in your sleep. You love doing them. Then you are increasing your odds and your chances of success by doing that. So again, it's not about how can I ensure I don't fail. It's about how can I make sure I succeed. And here's one of the things, and you can maybe see this here. It's funny because Malia, I literally just recorded a video about this today. I think it's not going to go live until later next week. But I talk about failure and I talk about the fear of failure and I dive into it. So make sure that you keep an eye out on that video. I think I'm going to have it go live next Monday. But you see that there, and you see right there, it says the price of entry for success is failure. And so so many people go through their lives trying to avoid failure. There is no failure. You either learn or you succeed. You either learn or you succeed. I've made a lot of mistakes in business in which you could call failures, right? It's only a failure if you treat it as a failure. If you learn from making a mistake, from losing money, you started a business and it wasn't successful. Well, what happened? Let's diagnose that. And here's my belief is that we take 100% responsibility and accountability for our results in our life. Stop blaming other people for your results and what you've created. Like, stop blaming your boss, stop blaming your coworker, someone you worked with. This person did this to me. It's always about looking at ourselves and going, how did I contribute to that result? Like could I have chosen someone different? Could I have chosen a different business? Could I have worked harder? Could I have worked smarter? Right? And so we're always looking at ourselves. If we always take responsibility for our result, we always have the power to change it. So if we ever blame something on someone else, blame a failure on someone else, or losing money on our spouse, on the franchisor, this person lied to me, this person took advantage of me. Did you hire an attorney? No. Oh, okay. Do you think hiring an attorney would have helped you when you were looking at the paperwork and the documents? Did you bring up your fears and concerns to that person and have them address it? No. Okay. So just know that failure is good. You can learn from failure. There's no way to avoid failure. But obviously, when you're making a decision and investing hundreds of thousands of dollars or $50,000 in a business, you want to make sure to get it right. So it's, how can I succeed? And you can succeed by modeling other people that have been successful. What did they do? What process did they go through? What was their mindset? What was their strategy? What actions were they taking? How were they dealing with obstacles and challenges? Does that make sense? Is that helpful? And I see that Bridget was chiming in as well. Thanks, Bridget, for popping in there. Bridget and I just recorded another video again today as well. So after you ask yourself, am I willing to pay the price? What is the price that I'm willing to pay? Are you willing to wake up at 4:30 a.m. for a year? Are you willing to sacrifice your social life for a few months to focus on building your business? Right? What are the prices that you're willing to pay? Truthfully, honestly, are you willing to reduce your lifestyle and live more frugally because you're in the middle of making a transition and you took the risk, you left your job, you opened up a business, and it may take some time for that business to replace your income? Are you willing to pay that price? So these are questions that you have to ask yourself. Thanks, Bridget. Bridget said Tarik's a rock star and how to run a profitable franchise. Very humble about his successes. I really enjoy helping other people. I've really, I've learned so much throughout this journey and this process of running these franchise businesses, and looking back 5-6 years ago now and having, signed our franchise agreement. And now Bridget and I are pursuing other franchise businesses, and I'm putting my framework and my process through the ringer. And it's a lot of fun. And at the end of the day, I'm realizing, and I'm really enjoying talking to more and more couples and that have kids. And not that if you're not in a relationship, you don't have a kid, I'm still happy to help you and work with you. But I resonate so much. I mean, as Caleb was growing up, he's only 2 years old now, but just some of the things that I was missing just from my commute and being at work. And I'm just thinking about, like we have Caleb in right now, a private school. We have our nanny still on staff that works helps work in Bridget's business. And if something ever happens at school, someone at Caleb's school got COVID and he had to quarantine for 2 weeks. And so we still had our nanny on staff working out of our house. She was able to take care of Caleb for us. Bridget and I were able to continue to operate our businesses at full steam. And that takes money. That takes money in order to be able to afford that. And so, think about the price that you're willing to pay, the sacrifice that you're willing to make today, and what that can create for your family 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 7 years from now. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. It really, truly is amazing, what you can create when you think about your vision and you think about your why and why you want to leave your job, why you want to make a transition. I sent out an email the other day, and I really was trying to really focus on a specific person, and I was thinking about myself and when I wanted to make the leap, and about how your boss might tell you can't go on vacation. They say no when you want to take time off, or they're expecting you to come in early and stay late when you're working on a big project and you're salaried and you don't make any extra money, and you're sacrificing time away from your family. Or when you have a great idea at work that you feel so confident is going to be successful, but it gets shut down with the corporate red tape and no one wants to hear or implement your ideas, and you're frustrated. You're going to work pissed off, not happy, and totally miserable, commuting and sitting in traffic, or feeling like at any moment you can get an email or you have to drop everything that you have to do, or a phone call. And I had someone reach out to me, and Phil, they applied for my coaching, and we got on a phone call, and I know this person, actually, someone that I know. And basically everything that I had written in that email was they were dealing with in that moment. And, just they have a young kid, they're time away from their family, and they're starting to experience health challenges because of their stress at work, and how the amount of stress that they felt for this period of time, for a sustained period of time. And so when I really think about, my mission and everything why I'm doing this on YouTube, why I'm sharing this information with you, why I'm here in the office at 8:45 at night sharing this live, is because I know how important this was in my life, in Bridget's life, in our family's life, in Caleb's life. Guys, now we have an office that's 5 minutes away. I was commuting over an hour in traffic. It was terrible. Our office is literally 6 minutes away from our house. We have a 1,200 square foot office now. Bridget's office is down the hall from me. We get to communicate and see each other all day. We do a weekly family meeting every Monday morning, planning out our life and our week and what's important to us and what we're focusing on, the trips that we want to take, our financial strategy, what we're doing. But I got to go home. I left the office this afternoon, went home, hung out with Caleb and Bridget, had dinner with them, and strapped Caleb on my bike, took him for a bike ride. This was 6:45. I mean, this was an hour and 15 minutes before this live. And took him down to the park. Caleb and I hung out, was able to get some quality time together. And then I was able to leave at 7:30, 7:40, be at the office within a few minutes. Imagine what that could be for your life. Like, imagine you're making the most amount of money you've ever made. Like, you're thriving financially. You love what you do. You're passionate about it. You get to take the vacations that you want to take, and you get to fly first class. You get to experience it the way that you want. You get to give back to your community. This 19-year-old kid from Jamaica that I talked to today, he said, it's not really about the money. I want to help people. I really want to be able to give back to people. I said, one of the best ways and easiest ways you can give back is by making a lot of money yourself. Because when you have the resources and the money, now you can donate. You can leverage your money to be able to get more resources, right? Or you have the time freedom because you've created financial freedom in your life where you have income streams. You're not having to work all the time, day in and day out, and you can spend time at church or giving back to your community or doing charities, not in a way that's sacrificing your lifestyle. And so if these things are important to you, and if you feel, that tug, and you want help, you want guidance, I can help you. Make sure that you go to my website and fill out the coaching application, because this is exactly what I walk my clients through right now. I just dropped the link in the comments if you want to apply. I'd be honored to help you. And again, you can use my blueprint. That's free. Here's what I found, though, is it's not just about the strategy, right? So once you have the strategy, you've got to take action on the strategy. Guess what happens? Like Malia was talking about, fear, right? Like, I've been looking at businesses. I know exactly what it is that I want to do. I know exactly what it is that I want to do, but I'm too scared to pull the trigger. because what if I fail? One of the things that I said in that video that I recorded today was, what if you succeed? What if you succeed in ways that you never imagined possible that you could? Imagine what that would mean for you. Imagine what that would mean for your family. Imagine what you could do for others. Imagine what you could experience in your life if that's the case. So once you start taking those actions, the challenges are going to come up. It's going to get scary. What happens when you procrastinate? I have some people where I give them advice, I tell them what to do, and it's 2 weeks later, they still don't do it. At that point, it's not about strategy, right? You have the strategy in front of you. You know exactly what action to take. Why haven't you done it? Because the last part, the most important. It's the 80% of your success. It's your mindset. Your mindset is 80% of your success. You know, one of the things that I do every single day is I have these morning rituals that I do, right? I have these morning rituals that I do, and I read myself a list of these things. The first thing that I read to myself and I say to myself is, I act in spite of fear. Another one is, I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I do everything at 100%. I'm willing to do what's hard, and I act in spite of my mood. I read these to myself because it becomes a form of self-hypnosis, a way to rewire and restructure your brain for success. As you start to do that, as you start to say these things to yourself, you start to incant them, say them over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, you start to believe it, right? It's like that phrase that a bad man said, but it's very true, which is if you say a lie loud enough and often enough, people start to believe it. So if you start to tell yourself over and over and over again, I take action in spite of fear. I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I succeed in spite of anything, and I will never give up. And you say that to yourself over and over and over and over again, you start to believe it. And so whereas the old you may have had the answer and the strategy right in front of you, and you were too scared to do it, the new you takes action. The new you winds up stepping up and being able to take the action in spite of the fear. And then all of a sudden, a whole new world of possibility opens up for you. But it takes being courageous. It takes being bold. Caleb keeps saying this thing right now, which is he keeps telling Bridget and I'm scared. And every time he says it, I go, you're bold, you're courageous, you're courageous. He goes, no, I'm scared. I go, no, you're bold. No, you're courageous. Because I want him to override that. And these things that kids learn when they're young, it can start to really take over. I got a couple of questions here. Maria, thank you very much. And thanks for hopping on. Giovanni asks, what advice would you give for a teenager like me aspiring to be a successful entrepreneur? Well, Giovanni, I don't know enough about your situation, but I'm a big believer that the first thing is to get clear. What do you want to do? You want to be an entrepreneur. Amazing. That's great. Like, what type of entrepreneur? Get clear on what it is that you want to do and how can you start right now? I mean, here's what you do. Go read stories about teenage entrepreneurs that succeeded and built businesses. Go read things that inspire you and cultivate that belief. Guys, if you leave with one thing today, this will be the most powerful thing. Belief is everything. Your ability to build a successful business, your ability to build the life of your dreams, your ability to quit your job, to replace your income, it all comes down to your belief. It all starts with having the belief that I can do that, I can do this, and it's possible. Because with that belief, you go, okay, if it's possible, well, what would I do next? I would take this step. And if it's possible, what would I do next? Your belief makes you tap into a certain emotional state, makes you feel more confident, more courageous. You tap into more potential. When you do that, you take action. When you start taking action, you start getting results. when you start getting results, it reinforces the belief, and then it becomes a cycle. And that's why the rich get richer and the poor get poor. It's one of the things that I trained when I traveled for Tony Robbins 12 years ago. It's one of the parts that I trained. We called it the success boxes. It's why the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. It's why people get in this negative loop and this negative cycle, because they have this belief that I can't succeed. Business is hard. I can't do this. I'm not talented enough. I don't have enough money. People are out there to scam me. People just want to take advantage of me. People just want my money. I can tell you firsthand from someone that had a lot of negative beliefs and is still actively working on improving my belief system, is those beliefs, they lead to you feeling like crap, not trusting people, being fearful. And then all of a sudden, when you feel fearful, do you take more or less action? When you don't trust people, do you take more or less action? Less action. And then you go, see, I told you it didn't work. I told you it wasn't going to work. I told you they just wanted the money. I told you you can't succeed in that industry. You get that result. It reinforces the belief, and you get stuck in that negative loop again. Man, that is deep. I wish I would have shared that at the beginning of this video. I hope people stick around this long to watch it. I see we still have a decent amount of people on there. Malia wanted me to read that one more time, which is, and I'm going to start sending out more email and putting more content about this stuff, by the way, because it's so important. And, you know, I've there's people that I've given the strategy and then they don't do anything with it. And I'm like, you really got to hammer the mental side of it. The strategy is just a small part. The mindset is everything. Because again, if you have the mindset of I am unstoppable, or I'm willing to do whatever it takes, or I succeed in spite of anything, which are some of these incantations I read. When you have that mindset, you'll find the strategy. So if strategy A doesn't work, it doesn't matter. You go to strategy B, and then strategy C, and strategy D, and you keep trying until you succeed. That's what someone with an unstoppable mindset does. But when you're just focused on the strategy and you don't have the mindset down, as soon as you reach the obstacle in the strategy, you go, I give up. See, it didn't work, right? So I act in spite of fear. I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I do everything at 100%. I'm willing to do what's hard. I act in spite of my mood. I am bigger than any obstacle. I succeed in spite of anything, and I never give up. I still have a bunch more that I read. Like this is all part of my vision stuff that I read every day to keep myself on point every single day. Your dream and you wanting to build a successful business, it's like you planting seeds. You're planting seeds, and you have to nurture those seeds. You got to water it every day. You got to give it sunlight every single day. You have to nurture your dream. You have to feed it, and you have to give it the nutrition and nourishment that it needs, right? That's one of the ways that I support my clients. It's by giving them that confidence. Sometimes I believe in my clients more than they believe in themselves, and it's my belief in them that gets them to push through. It's me going, look, you can do this. I know you can. You are talented. You have the skill sets. There's zero chance why you can't succeed. And they're like, really? I'm like, yes. They're like, okay. And then they follow through because someone else believes in them. Lane, are you able to share what your next franchise adventure is? I am not able to share that yet. We're still going through the process. We're talking to a couple of different franchisors right now. So I'm not going to reveal it yet. What I can say is right now we are primarily looking in the childcare space. And that's all I can say for now. At some point, we will reveal it. We've also signed NDAs with some of these businesses as well. So right now, not going to share that, but I will continue to document the process and show you guys the framework of what we're going through. As an example, spur of the moment, Bridget and I recorded something today because I got a call from a franchisor asking me a question, and Bridget wasn't on the phone, so I hopped in and we recorded us reacting and responding to it naturally for the very first time. And so you get to see that level of insight of how we're dealing with it, what's coming up for us, and the decisions and the strategy that we're making. So as for those of you who are still on here, make sure to hit the like button. Really helps the YouTube algorithm. Hit that thumbs up. It really helps. I know it sounds so silly, but it helps. It helps. It helps. Luca Skywalker. That's really funny. And I like that. Our dog's name is Luca, spelled Luca, and then we have Buddy as well. What do you think about the car rental business? Familiar with Turo? Funny that you asked that, actually. I'm usually not a fan of the what do you think about certain business questions, but I actually looked into Turo. Because I recently bought one of my dream cars, which is a Range Rover Sport. And I thought about, oh, wow, I could start renting. I don't know where the like button is, Bridget. Bridget's asking where the like button is. I don't know. It should be there somewhere. But Turo is basically the Uber for car rentals. So that's a great point. Like, there's so many ways to make extra cash and supplement as you're making the journey or figuring it out or making it happen. But yeah, I think it's going to continue to get more and more popular. I think it's like the Airbnb of car rentals, where basically you put your vehicle in an app and someone can rent your car. I don't know all of the intricacies and the strategy and all that stuff to it. I know there's one particular girl that makes YouTube videos all about it, and she's been doing it for a while now. So watch her videos. But overall, if you can make money with it, great. Anything that you can do to make money will be helpful. For me, I started to think about leveraging my time, and I thought, even if I can make $1,000 a month from it, it's just the headache and the hassle and arranging, meeting it up, and the potential problems. The risk wasn't worth the reward for me, right? I look at my lifestyle, my vision, what it is that I want to create, where I'm going in my life, and is the amount of headache required for that worth the amount of reward? No. Now, if I decided to buy 10 or 12 cars and create an empire of a car rental business on Turo, then maybe that would make more sense. And then I could hire someone to help and facilitate and all those different things. But yeah, I think it's very interesting. Bridget said, I found it. I was in the chat screen. Okay. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. Awesome. Guys, I appreciate this so much. We're just over an hour now. If you haven't gone to my website yet, make sure you do. Go get my 7-step blueprint to business profits in 60 days, completely free. It's 28 pages. It will walk you through step-by-step, detailed framework, system, how to create a profitable business in 60 days. I tell people, you can use that as your blueprint. For those of you who go, there's always people that are just like, this guy just wants to sell me something. One, yes, I do want to sell you. I do want to work with you on my coaching. Absolutely. Because I know that it works. And I know that if we work together, I'm going to help you get results. I've invested tens of thousands of dollars, if not well over $100,000 in business coaches. It's the only reason why I've come this far. Bridget has hired many, many business coaches. She had the same coach for, I forget, Bridget, what was it, 8 years? Had the same Tony Robbins coach that she worked with. And that's when she generated her first $1 million in her business. So, but anyways, if you can't afford it and you're not in that position right now, go through the blueprint. It works. Go through it, follow it, implement it. If you want help throughout this whole process, if you want to shortcut going from employee to entrepreneur, building a thriving business, go to tarekjohnson.com/consulting, fill out my coaching application. And this is just a taste of what it is that I do with my clients. Imagine if you and I were getting on calls one-on-one and we were taking this information, this vision, this strategy, this mindset component, and applying it specifically to your situation. Imagine how powerful that would be for your life. Guys, thank you very much. It was an honor. I am going to go home and have a glass of wine and meet Bridget back at the house. Honored to share this, guys, with you. Next Tuesday, we're doing the same thing. Mark your calendar. We'll send out an email. Also, make sure to go back and watch from the beginning. But for the month of June, every Tuesday, I'm going to be doing a YouTube Live. Excited to share it with you. We got more videos and cool content coming out. Thank you so much. You guys have a wonderful evening.